I'm Alex Michelson. This week, the issue is, should California's Prop 47 be reformed? San Jose Mayor Matt Mahan says yes. He's a key leader pushing Prop 36. He's here to make his case. Then, an exclusive sit-down with the chairman of the Republican National Committee, Mike Whatley. And a preview of next week's historic debate between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. Plus, the lessons we all can learn from this California sidewalk. The issue is starts right now.
Broadcasting across California, you're watching The Issue Is.
And welcome to The Issue Is. I'm Alex Michelson. This week, a look at the perhaps most controversial proposition on the California ballot. With us is the Democratic mayor of San Jose, Matt Mahan. Now, Mayor Mahan was the first Democratic mayor to endorse the effort to reform 2014's Prop 47 with 2024's Prop 36. Prop 36 allows felony charges and increases sentences for certain drug and theft crimes. Mahan made his case recently with this op-ed in the San Jose Inside entitled, "Proposition 36 is reform we need to save money and lives." In it, he admits that he voted for Prop 47 10 years ago. Mayor Mahan, welcome back to The Issue Is, and welcome to our studio for the first time. Good to see you.
Thank you, Alex. Great to be here.
So Prop 47, you said you voted for it. You were a supporter of it.
I was, because the core premise that we should get people into treatment, job training, and try to move away from the era of mass incarceration is still valid. But what we've seen is that there are some unintended consequences of Prop 47. The reason I support Prop 36 is that it reforms Prop 47 and focuses on this phenomenon of repeat offenders, often stuck deeply in addiction to serious drugs like fentanyl and meth, and helps break that cycle and gives us the opportunity to fulfill the promise of Prop 47, which is to get to the era of mass treatment.
Okay, so there's like two major aspects of this. One is drugs, one is some of the retail theft. Let's start with the drugs. What exactly does it do? Because it gives more ability for judges, right?
That's right. And this is on a third drug offense. So you get a second chance, a third chance. On a third drug offense, judges have the ability, and it is at their discretion. It's not a mandated sentence. It's not 3 strikes, but the judge can look at all the evidence and has the ability to say to someone, you have a choice, treatment or county jail. I've talked to a number of addicts in their middle ages today who tell me they're only alive today because they were forced to detox because they spent a month at the county jail. That's not the goal. The goal is to get people into treatment. But if you're stuck on the streets, deep in an addiction to a substance like fentanyl, I think the compassionate thing is for us to intervene and give you a chance to make a better decision.
And obviously, a lot of people, when they talk about Prop 47, they talk about retail theft. What does it do in terms of changing the penalties there?
Well, similarly, on a third offense, judges have the discretion to charge it as a felony, which would come with jail or prison time. And so it increases penalties. But I want to also note that I see these crises as intertwined. We have, since Prop 47 passed, we've seen participation in drug courts drop. We've seen overdose deaths more than double. We've seen homelessness go up nearly 60%, while it is down in most states across the country. And especially in the last 5-6 years, we've seen rising retail theft, sometimes to fund an addiction. And so I think these issues of unsheltered homelessness, addiction, property crime are intertwined in a complicated way. And what we need are compassionate solutions that prioritize treatment but don't leave people to suffer and die on our streets, as we see far too often.
So this measure is really splitting the Democratic Party right now. The California Politico Playbook wrote about you and your advocacy of Prop 36, something that Governor Newsom is not supporting. And we want to put up their headline this week. It says, "Meet the mayor getting under Newsom's skin." A picture of the two of you. Just recently, he signed a bunch of bills in San Jose at a Home Depot, of crime-related bills passed by the legislature. You see, like, basically every Democrat in the whole state there, except for you, the mayor of San Jose, not invited to that event. What is the nature of your relationship with Governor Newsom right now?
I have a lot of respect for our governor, and I stood with him on Prop 1, which will add 10,000 treatment beds. I think Prop 36 will help us ensure they go to those who most need them. I stood with the governor in San Jose, led the way on building the tiny homes that the governor has helped fund. And I agree with his message around greater accountability for cities and counties to get people out of encampments and indoors. But I have to say, I'm a little surprised and trying to figure out, where he's at on this, because to me, when you go out to the encampments, you see the suffering, you see the addiction, you talk to the small businesses that are impacted. If we don't have the tools to compel people who are severely addicted into treatment, if we don't give judges the ability to mandate treatment, I think it's going to be very hard to end this era of encampments. He ran a campaign for Prop 1 called Treatment, Not Tents. And part of the way we're going to get there is by giving judges tools for getting people into treatment.
So you're in favor of Prop 36. The mayor of San Francisco, the mayor of San Diego, both Democrats, also in favor of this. But the Newsom was asked about this, and he basically kind of said, this is not the Democratic Party. It's just a couple of mayors talking about you. And it is true that a lot of the Democratic legislators are basically saying this is going to bring us back to the era of mass incarceration that targeted black and brown people disproportionately. Why do you think so many Democrats are not in favor of Prop 36?
Well, I think to be really precise about it, I think the division is really between local elected officials who may be Democrats or independents or Republicans and serve in nonpartisan offices at the local level, hearing from our constituents every single day, having people come up to us in the grocery store saying, what are you doing about the fentanyl overdoses, the retail theft, the tent encampments sprawled across our cities, and then Sacramento. And I understand there's a concern about the fiscal situation in Sacramento over the coming years. But what I'm hearing from Democrats at the local level is a lot of support for Prop 36, the reform of Prop 47, because they're grappling with these issues every single day. So I think it is unfair to say this is just a couple of mayors. I'm hearing from local Democrats across the state who are signing on to the Yes on 36 campaign. In terms of disproportionate impacts, the data would show the opposite. It's our communities of color that are most impacted by drug overdoses, by homelessness. It's our small businesses. In San Jose, we have 60,000 small businesses, over half of which are immigrant-owned. Those are the folks coming to me every day asking us to do more, asking us to do better, asking us to break this cycle of addiction and theft and homelessness and get people into treatment. That's what Prop 36 is about.
One issue where I think you and the governor have a lot of agreement on is what happened at the Supreme Court recently. So the Supreme Court basically giving cities more ability to deal with homeless encampments and to clear those encampments. What's your approach right now when it comes to homeless encampments?
Well, I agree with the governor that we need local governments across the state to be accountable for getting people out of encampments that are unsafe, unsanitary, and get people into safe, dignified shelter and treatment. I will say that one of the challenges our outreach teams run into is a very high percentage of people on our streets who are trapped in a cycle of addiction and are what we call service resistant, are not ready to say yes to shelter. And that's one of the reasons that I believe that we have a duty to intervene and save lives. And we need the tools for a judge to have the discretion to mandate someone into treatment.
Just recently, you were in San Diego checking out this concept of safe sleeping sites. You were with the mayor there, Todd Gloria. What did you learn there? What does that mean? And that's something you're going to be implementing in San Jose.
That's right. Yeah, Todd Gloria personally gave me a tour of their largest safe sleeping site, which houses about 400 people. And the premise is that we need solutions today. We have to treat homelessness like the crisis that it is. Imagine an earthquake hit that put tens of thousands of people on the streets. We wouldn't say we need to wait 10, 15, 20 years to have enough money to build a brand new apartment for everyone. We would start to triage the situation, get people into safety, get people connected to services. In San Diego, they've been quite successful with getting people out of very unsafe, unmanaged encampments along the freeways, in neighborhoods, and into a managed site that has security, sanitation, case management. People aren't worried about where their next meal is coming from. That stability allows people to start to engage in drug treatment and job training and reconnect with family. That's the goal. We're going to stand up our first safe sleeping site in San Jose early next year.
Interesting. And that might be a model that the state could look at in other cities as well. As we wrap some up here, we like to have some fun. This is a game called Personal Issues, which you played the last time remotely. Now you get to play in person, and we get to learn some of your favorites. So this is the first thing that comes to mind for you. You ready?
I don't know, but
Okay.
let's give it a try.
Okay. What's your favorite movie?
All right, don't judge me for this. I really like The English Patient.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Who is your favorite musical artist?
Well, last time you asked me about my favorite song, and I said California Love. So I grew up with hip hop. Tupac is definitely up there.
Love that. Favorite athlete?
Oh my gosh. Well, again, harkening back to my childhood, Michael Jordan is definitely a childhood hero
Tough
of
to
mine.
beat that. Favorite way to relax?
I really like to garden and hike, the outdoors.
And what's the best thing about being a Californian?
Oh my gosh. The people, the food, the weather, I can't pick one thing. We're very blessed in this state.
And apparently the gardening, and of course the music. So
right.
up next, we've got the chair of the Republican National Committee, Michael Whatley. But we go to break once again with your favorite song. Here's California Love, Tupac, Dr. Dre. Here we go. Doesn't get better than this, right?
It doesn't.
It doesn't.
So good.
The RNC is going to be the vanguard of a movement.
That is the moment in March of this year that Michael Whatley became chair of the RNC. Whatley recently traveled to California. It's proof of how important our state's congressional races are to the national map. We met up with Whatley in Buena Park at the campaign headquarters of Congresswoman Michelle Steele, where he was talking about the issue of election integrity. Chairman Whatley, welcome to The Issue Is for the first time.
It's great to be with you.
And good to have you in California.
Yeah, it's great to be out here. I
Yeah.
think that everybody kind of glosses over California because they look at where it stands on the national scene. But when you talk about the congressional seats, you talk about the majority that we have in Congress right now comes out of California. It's really important to be here.
So we have some not so subtle message behind you. Make your vote safe and secure over and over and over again.
Right.
What does that mean?
Well, what we want, writ large nationally with our Protect the Vote campaign, is really to get the basics of election law protections in place where we can get them. And then secondly, we want to make sure that we have volunteers and attorneys that are there anytime votes are being cast or counted. We just want to make sure that the basic protections on election integrity are going to ensure that it's easy to vote and hard to cheat.
Should people trust that their vote is going to be counted fairly in California?
Yeah, and that's why we want to be here, right? And I think that people will feel more confident in that system if they know that we have volunteers and lawyers that are in the room when the votes are being cast and when the votes are being counted.
The basic message is there's not some big conspiracy. Get in the room. You can be one of the people to count, right?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, and the thing about California law is it does allow anybody who is interested in serving in that capacity to go serve in that capacity, which I think is really good, right? I think that when you have more people who have an opportunity to take part in this process and understand this process, they're going to be more confident in it.
If Jesus came down,
When Donald Trump was interviewed by Dr. Phil recently, he said that if Jesus was counting the ballots here in California, he would have won. What does that mean?
Well, I think that he feels like California, there are a lot of Republicans and there are a lot of votes here. I think he was probably, a little bit of a stretch. But, look, I think the point that the president's making, the point that we're trying to make here is that we want to restore the belief that the voting systems, that the election systems are going to be fair and impartial.
But Trump lost here by close to 5 million votes. Do you have evidence that he actually won this state, that there were 5 million more people that voted for him that weren't counted?
No.
So that claim about Jesus is...
We'll see. And the president can tell stories as at any time. But look, I think the key is that we want to make the point that it is very important for us to have election security protection in place, that we are going to protect the ballot, and that people are going to have faith in the sanctity of the vote.
Because there is danger, isn't there, of some people hearing that from the president, thinking, they don't count my vote. It's not fair. And then they don't vote, and then you could lose.
Well,
right?
look, that's why we set this program up. That's exactly the conversation that we're having all across the country. We've had it in New York. We've had it in Michigan. We've had it in Pennsylvania. We're having it here because we want to go out to red states and blue states and purple states and have a conversation about how important election integrity is.
Did you ever have that conversation with the former president?
I have that conversation with him all the time.
And what does he say?
He says that he wants to make sure that the elections are going to be protected.
How do you see the contrast between Trump and Harris? Because you basically brought it down to a one-word contrast.
Well, to me, it comes down to strength versus weakness, right? And when you think about what do the American voters want right now, what really matters to every American voter, every American family, are things like jobs in the economy, security, safety. And that's really where the president is focused on. I think that this comes down to who has the ability to restore our southern border, to rebuild our economy, and to make sure that we are going to be strong enough to protect our interests at home and abroad.
So obviously the presidential race in California hasn't been all that close for that long, but the congressional races have been really close and really important. Can you talk about the importance of California to the Republican effort to keep that gavel?
Well, think about it. We have a 2-seat Republican majority in the House right now. We have 12 seats that are held by Republicans in California. 5 of those are held by Republicans in seats that Joe Biden carried. We do not have a Republican majority in Congress today without these seats in California. And if we want to hold on to that majority, even expand it, then we absolutely need to win those seats.
Are there any seats in particular you're especially keeping an eye on?
You know, look, I think that we have one opportunity to be able to pick up a seat in Katie Porter's district, where we've got a great Republican candidate that I think we can be able to win that seat. We've got
Scott Baugh versus
absolutely right, Scott
versus Dave Min.
Yes,
Yeah.
You know, I think that you've got those 5 seats that currently are held by Republicans in districts that Joe Biden carried. I think that's very important. And Ken Calvert is another one who's in a very, very tight district. You know, so I think that when we look at the map, those are probably the highest priorities for us.
Strength versus weakness was obviously a huge theme at the RNC, and it sort of made sense a lot with Joe Biden, who was older, and now you have a different nominee in Kamala Harris. How has that changed your thinking in terms of the framing of this?
It really hasn't, right? Because with Kamala Harris, she is the one. She was the border czar. And so when we talk about, you know, the fact that 10 million illegal immigrants have come across that southern border that we know of, let alone the ones that we don't know of, right? Migrant crime is a very real issue. Fentanyl is a very real issue that has come because of her stewardship of the border. That's her, right? When we talk about who cast the tie-breaking votes on those spending bills, that was her, right? So the issue is the same because the voters have identified these as the issues that they care about. The fact is that Republicans are doing a better job of understanding what the voters want and putting solutions on the table and talking directly to them.
What do you think is the biggest misconception about him behind the scenes, about Donald Trump?
Look, I think he cares deeply for this country. He cares deeply for his family. He cares deeply about everybody having the opportunity that he had to get ahead in this country. And so, you know, there are a lot of people who think that he's selfish. He's not. He is out there fighting every day for the American voters. And I will just say this, that following the assassination attempt, you know, the first conversations that he had while they were in the motorcade going to the hospital were asking, are the other people okay? You know, when I first got a call, it was on you know, that Saturday evening, and they said, "Are you guys ready?" You know, because he's coming. He's coming, and we want to be there, right? He was not supposed to get there till Thursday. He ended up coming in on Sunday, right? And just before he came out on Monday evening, I was having a conversation with him backstage, and I said, "Sir, when you go through that door, this place is going to melt," because they didn't know he was coming, and it was a complete surprise. And it was such a powerful moment where he really, I think, had the opportunity to kind of step back and ask himself, why are we doing this? Make America Great Again is a trite campaign slogan for everybody. It's very real for Donald Trump, and that's what he's fighting for every day.
We saw some emotion in his face that we don't usually see
True.
in that moment when he
Very
walked
true.
out there. I think it hit him. It was amazing to be there for that week and to see that up close. And lastly, we do something called personal issues, which is to get to know you.
Right.
You know, your North Carolina roots, we know that. We don't know that much about you. So what is the first thing that comes to mind when I ask you, what's your favorite TV show of all time?
You know, I watch the Atlanta Braves every night. No matter what they're doing, especially when they play the Dodgers.
Okay.
It's absolutely great.
Do you have a favorite movie?
You know, probably Moneyball. I think that's kind of the big one, or The Patriot.
Okay. Do you have a favorite actor or actress?
You know, Ronald Reagan, when he was an actor, was pretty cool to watch.
Oh my God. There's an answer for a Republican chairman.
right.
Yeah, the new Reagan movie.
Absolutely.
Which you guys
I'm
showed
looking
about
forward to it,
55
yeah.
times at the RNC in different places. Favorite band or musician?
You know, Hootie and the Blowfish. Gonna kind of go back a little bit
Do you
old
have a
school.
favorite song?
You know, there's so many.
I Only Wanna Be
just
With
watch
You?
it. Absolutely.
Okay. Well, we found out your favorite sports team's got to be the Braves, right?
Yeah.
And who is your role model?
You know, really, I've had such a great group of role models that I've worked with over the years. People who kind of showed me politics and how it can be done right. You know, guys like Bob Dole when I was Elizabeth Dole's chief of staff. Getting a chance to work, the first senator I worked with is a guy named Paul Coverdale that nobody has ever heard of. But he worked all day, every day to try and make a difference in the Senate. You know, things along those lines. President George W. Bush, and even Donald Trump, because he is so relentless and he works every day. And I think that really is how you have to have that sense of urgency to really help people along the way.
Well, Chairman Whatley, thank you so much for being
Thank
with
you.
us. Good luck to the Braves. Not too much luck. And good luck to you out on the campaign trail.
Thank you. I
Nice to
appreciate
see
it.
you.
All right.
Thanks so much. Up next, a preview of next week's historic debate and our special coverage of it. Stay with us. Welcome back. The single biggest moment left in the presidential race is next week's debate between Trump and Harris. ABC is broadcasting it. Almost every major network is simulcasting it live, 6 p.m. Tuesday night. Immediately after the debate, Fox 11 Los Angeles is airing a live special edition of The Issue Is, which will also be streaming on YouTube. Among our guests, attorney Lisa Bloom and KFI Radio's John Cobalt. Up next, a very special intersection that will give you some hope. Stay with us. We end this week with a story that can give us all some hope in these divided times. Check out this sidewalk in Tustin. Steve Lawrence is selling Trump gear right next to Sandra Robbie selling Harris gear. This week, Fox 11 Los Angeles' Matthew Seedorf paid them a visit.
Are you guys friends?
We are now. We have become friends as we've worked together here.
We don't debate. I honestly say that we talk and listen to each other.
You know, she has her customers, I have my customers.
I mean, that's why we have the sign up that says we both ask that you please be nice, so that people see that we are talking.
There really shouldn't be any hate for anybody coming up here on either side.
We can all learn a lot from these two. So we end with Randy Newman's You've Got a Friend in Me. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.